we did a few months ago where, you know, we broke our partner's posture, cut off to the side here, and got to the overhook. You guys remember we looked at triangles from here? Omoplatas, and even some ways to attack arm locks here. We're basically going to do the same thing here, but instead of using an overhook, we're going to use what we call a muscle sweep. When we do this in the gi, we have a cross sleeve grip, okay? That cross sleeve grip is incredibly strong, okay? So let's just compare that again. The muscle sweep, guys, is basically like a hip bump sweep, except he's standing. All right, so when I muscle sweep, I'm gonna be doing a lot of the same things, posting up on my hand, putting my hips on top of his, and again, grabbing this. So what's the benefit of grabbing this in the gi? He can't post, right? Now when we do this in no gi, obviously we can't do that, okay? We have to look at options here. We go over the shoulder and take the arm out. Not always the easiest thing, especially from what we're about to do. So this is where that submission strength is really gonna come into play. When she stands up, okay, a lot of times in no-gi we don't have a lot of great grip options here, okay? I would say the majority of the time we're working with a underhook on the leg, okay? Now when we make this underhook, we want to go elbow deep. Wrist deep, I'm not going to have good leverage. All the way by the elbow, okay? Now usually in the gi, again, we usually do this with a cross sleeve grip. We don't have that luxury in no-gi. So instead what we need to do is use a handstand grip. So I'm going to invert this hand, okay? Now, the mechanics of the muscle sweep. It's going to start from my heels and it's going to go all the way down to my head. So from here, what I want to look to do is as I drive my heels down and raise my hips, I want to engage my head too. So I'm going to move my head off center and I'm going to get up into the crown of my head so I get more engagement out of my hip here, okay? Basically turning her knee outwards with all that pressure. That's the main goal here, okay? Guys, you see as I land, I don't let go of the underhook on this leg if I can help it. If I do, Ashley's going to split her legs. She's going to come right back to the top. All right, so again, the central idea here is that I'm using this hip to make her knee externally rotate. That's why I'm driving my heels down. That's why I'm raising my hips. Okay? We're reinforcing with this handstand grip. And again, kind of like the last step here, move your head off center. See, I'm bumping, she's not moving. I need to get up on the ground of my head. Okay? Now, guys, when you land, the ensuing submissions that we're gonna do, you wanna take your hips, again, just like a hip bump sweep, like especially if you land like down here, you wanna take your hips and connect them to your partner's torso, okay? Now, first reaction, she's already doing it, she's on her elbow. That's when we're gonna finish the sweep typically. It's gonna be easy. And again, just like a hip bump sweep, we can do a lot of the same things. We can just look to pull the wrist up, okay? Or like a true hip bump sweep, bring the armpit over the shoulder and just continue to drive over to finish the sweep, okay? Now, guys, your foot will be stuck here, okay? Don't try to pull it out here. Instead, once you get to the top, just release the legs, start to crawl your hands, and your foot should automatically just come out, okay? You need to keep your guard closed. Okay, watch. That's how I engage my hips. That heel drive, right? Now, technically, if I open my feet, I can still drive my heels, but it feels nowhere near as strong, right? So, right there. I would say it's very unlikely against somebody experienced that you're gonna sweep them with your feet uncrossed. Second thing I'm seeing, okay? Guys, don't try to knock him over by collar tying him here, okay? This is going to go into the follow-ups here. At any point, if Joe decides to build height up to his hand, and he does anything like body lock me, push me, and I try to sweep him like that, he's going to return me to the mat. Try to do it now. Yeah, see? That's why we don't go around the head in a hip bump sweep, unless we're setting him up for something. One more time, he stands up, elbow deep. Handstand grip. Again, if it was no-gi, I'd prefer a cross sleeve, but we don't have that, okay? I want to drive my heels down, engage my hips, but to get even more range of motion, like resist a little bit. See, this is weak. This is where everybody gets stuck. Guys, get up onto the crown of your head. See, that allows me to push his knee out further with my hip, okay? post. So for those of you that are struggling with this, and maybe you are somebody who plays more single leg X than closed guard, which is a lot these days, especially in no-gi. Okay? Guys, again, you're basically doing the muscle sweep. So look, it's all the same things. I'm driving my heels down, elevating my hips, and getting up on the crown of my head to turn that knee out. So you can kind of borrow those mechanics from single leg X and put them into the muscle sweep, and it might make this more relatable. Sleeve grip, he stands up. So I have the cross sleeve. Okay, so I get up on the crown of my head so that my hip starts to push his knee outwards, okay? Now, again, if I hold on to the sleeve, it should be really hard for Ramiro to post here, okay? So here, lift, okay? As soon as you guys get up, you can put your hands on the floor. Guys, don't try to pull this leg out early. Remember, keep walking yourself this way, and your foot should come out on its own, okay? So a lot of the things I do when I do a hip bump sweep, I build height, I put my hips on top of his, okay? And I find ways to cover this arm so I can advance to the mount. This is stronger in the gi because we have this cross sleeve, okay? So I do all of those same things here. The difference maker is that when I grab this, it's insanely difficult for Ramiro to post this hand on the mat as long as I lift. Versus no-gi, when we're here, we have a little bit of a fight on our hands sometimes, okay? So I got a cross sleeve grip, he stands up, I bicep curl the leg. Remember guys, we're moving our head off center. Once my hips come up, they go this way, and the crown of my head goes this way too. Okay? You guys see as I climb up here, I like to keep this. Once I start to achieve the top position, that's when I start to let go and free my leg and mount. Okay, let's go on to our reactions now. Okay, so same thing, Grant stands up. Yeah, see all the same things here. So this goes back to paying attention when we're finishing the sweep here, right? If Grant's on his elbow, or even better, laying down, go ahead. It's very easy to climb up to an advanced mount, okay? Again, still possible, but if he's on his hand. But now, if Grant starts to push off of his hand here, okay, that's when it's going to be really hard to go this way. It's opposing forces, okay? Now, I saw everybody doing this the first time. This is good, but now more than ever, we need to be conscious of this, okay? If you guys are ending up down here, okay? Especially now that we're attacking submissions, again, curl your heels, lift your butt off of the floor, and basically like put yourself in his lap here, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you guys a couple different ways to finish the triangle, all right? We're gonna stick with one for right now. The next one will lead to the next thing, which is the Omoplata, okay? The variation we're gonna practice right now, and everybody should be able to do this, okay? So just like when we have an overhook and closed guard, what we're gonna look to do is monitor his bicep with our foot here, okay? So if Grant tries to come back to the top, go ahead, and put his hand back inside of my guard, it's surprisingly very difficult here, okay? Now from here, we can look to do things like control the wrist, and just shoot this through to the triangle, okay? Now again, this is not a class on triangles, so I'm gonna give you guys the cliff notes here, okay? The same cliff notes I gave you guys when we did the overhook. First things first, control the posture. Don't let him come up. That's his early stage defense. Second thing, you guys need to get your hips off the floor, okay? So pinch your knees, foot on the hip so he's not pulling his arm out. So guys, take your right hip off the floor. Pull your arm out now. See, I'm attached to him. And then the more I pull this hip off the floor, see, the more I can get across his neck. I want to hide his shoulder with my other knee, calf over my shin bone, not here, on the shin bone, heels down, knees to the other side. Once I get my hips up, if I want to go for an Omoplata, I need to bring this leg basically over his head, right? So in route is actually an alternate way to finish the triangle. A lot of times here, I'll use my left hand to heist up even higher so I can get my foot over the shoulder. This will help me have a suspended position where I can really dictate where I want to go next. Because when I pull him forwards and he goes back, instead of going over the shoulder, we collar tie and hit the head. We hit the same thing, okay? So head to the side, and then look to the side. That's what actually pulls his knee out here, okay? Now look, Mike's on his elbow, that's when it's easy to go this way. But if he's pushing off of his hand, okay, now I'm primed to go in this direction. That's where we're gonna really look to start making my combinations here, okay? I'm gonna collar tie his neck, foot on the bicep, okay? And as we're adjusting here, okay, it should be hard for him to pummel. At any point, I don't care if he gets up or not, we can look to shoot through to the triangle, okay? And then from here, again, foot on the hip, knees pinched. Guys, you might notice I'm not telling you to push the arm across, because if you do a good job here, you don't have to, okay? If he's ever flaring his elbow out, that's when you can push the elbow, okay? But otherwise, you don't really need to, okay? Here, so we can get across the neck, pull the shin down, knee in front of the shoulder. You should only be able to see Mike's head and arm here. Calf on the shin bone, not on your instep, okay? I don't care if your legs are short and you gotta do this, it's still gonna be tight. As long as I can bring my knees in and drive my heels down. Okay. Again, I want you to think of a lot of these attacks like they're mounted attacks too. Like we're halfway to mount here. So let's pretend Grant was laying on the shoulder and we were in mount, okay? You guys remember like a year and a half or so ago, we looked at the Omoplata and entering the Omoplatas here. Okay? The common denominator there is that his elbow is attached to my hip, okay? Now, this can be pretty situational, okay? Sometimes here, as a reaction, people get that single body lock on you and they'll attach to your hip here. Try to lift you up, put you on the ground, stuff like that. He's also attaching himself to the Omoplata though, okay? Now, the next problem is I need to get this foot all the way over his head. So, just like an armbar, instead of collar tying here, instead of pulling, we're gonna be pushing. So I'm gonna wipe this hand to the front and stiff arm. It's gonna make it a lot easier to get your leg over the head. I haven't seen anybody have to do this yet this week, but if this is really hard for some reason, you can underhook the leg here too, okay? Now guys, really important, once this is over, okay, we need downward pressure with the knee, downward towards me. If I do outwards pressure, Grant can actually take me this way, okay? Now watch when I turn my knee this way. It's forcing him to come this way with me, all right? When I want to hold him here, I'm going to clamp and I'm going to keep my feet facing his head and I'm just going to hold his elbow. It's all predicated on stapling his shoulder to the mat, right? Now we're going to keep this consistent with the overhook series we did a couple months ago. From here, if you guys remember, we didn't do a submission, we actually swept him with this. So I'm going to start to heist to my knees and turn, and it's basically going to start torquing Grant's shoulder. So my left hand's on the floor, I start to heist my hips, turn to my knees. Okay? We come all the way through. You guys see it's not a big movement. I'm literally just rotating my hips. The bigger the movement it is here, the easier it's going to be to lose this, okay? I want my heels tight to the shoulder, and I want to be sitting on that shoulder, okay? And of course, this brings us into yet another Omoplata sequence. If you guys have prior knowledge of that, you were in those classes a year or two ago, feel free to go through that series here. Otherwise, I want you to finish in a safe position, okay? You can look at things like blocking the head and the hip and going to side control. Or if you don't have the mobility for stuff like that, this is what I want you to do. Just take both hands like a lobster, grab the hip bones, sprawl your legs out, and just go north-south. Even here when he's on, we're in more of like a basic square position. If I don't start aligning this, Grant will tell you his arm's really loose right now. Okay? He might not immediately get out, but it's definitely not as strong as this. How about now? Apply this basic idea to this sort of intermediate position that we're doing right now, right? So let's go. Again, attach your hip to the shoulder like we've been doing. Okay, really shelf yourself up here, okay? Guys, don't push the crown of the head, like bring your head back. Push right on the jawline. Sorry, that's where he's weak. Okay, and again, the more I go this way, the more he straightens his arm. Okay. Again, do not go this way first. Go this way first. Drop that knee, form the clamp, and now we're ready to attack from the Omoplata. So he stands, we hit our muscle sweep. Okay. Another reason you might choose this, guys, is if you can't get this leg involved for the triangle, okay? So from here, I push the head, stiff arm. The more you stiff arm, the more space you're gonna have to get your foot over. As soon as you get your foot over, be nice to each other. Start to clamp this knee down. See how that's making him turn? I try to touch the inside of my knee to the mat. Now, from here, guys, do not stay misaligned with your knees. Control the elbow, okay? And get your knees in a straight line. All right, so now I'm gonna show you guys one example. If he doesn't roll with me, this is the dangerous part. Grant's gonna tap when he feels this, all right? If he doesn't roll with me and I start to rotate this arm, watch, it's a Kimura. Okay, that's the dangerous part. So if you're on top, maybe you can't roll for some reason, just yell out tap, so your partner doesn't hurt you on accident, okay? Otherwise, he's gonna be somersaulting over the shoulder. Okay, then from here, stay low, cup the hips, and then sprawl out to north-south. Again, everything's the same. Just to reiterate, again, if the arm is back here, in my opinion, it's better for the triangle and the omoplata, okay? If his arm's in front, obviously I don't have the placement for the omoplata, right? If I swing my leg over, he's just gonna rip his arm out. And if I shoot the triangle while he's stiff arming here, especially in the gi, I'll lose distance with the legs, right? So in my opinion, it's a better thing here to go with this and attack the armbar, okay? Again, grabbing the wrist, pinching elbow to elbow. And guys, let him extend you out, because that's the way you want to go anyways, to get this shin behind the head, okay? We're gonna go knees to the floor like we usually do for our rolling armbar, okay? Then we're gonna fall towards the head side hips or facing our partner's feet. I'm gonna use my free arm to grab the close knee. And guys, unless he's way smaller than you, you shouldn't be trying to deadlift this off the ground, okay? What you should be doing is just attaching this and moving yourself backwards. Like literally, just try to lay on your back. If you need a little extra help, you can briefly detach the shin from the back of the head and push off the mat with your toes here, okay? You guys see when I draw that leg in, it allows me to collect both legs, all right? So again, I have Grant in this like full body shelf here. Before I take the shelf down, before I put him on the mat, just like any arm bar, I want to make a cross face leg, okay? So it's a good idea to bring this leg over first and then bring him to the mat, okay? That's just so that when we get here, Grant doesn't immediately sit up and cause a scramble, right? Now again, arm bar basics here, we want our tailbone, our spine in a straight line with the shoulder line. So we have good leverage over his torso here, okay? Heels are pinching in and knees are pinched, okay? From here, to break his grip, all we're gonna do is switch arms. Whenever I have my primary arm in here, I'm gonna be elbow to elbow grabbing my own thigh. So we never run into a situation where Grant's able to wedge his elbow to the floor, okay? Your basic positioning with your feet and hips will help that as well, all right? Now from here, to break the grip, I'm gonna take the head side arm and go to his wrist. So I can start basically making an Americana action here, okay? Get this arm bent so his shoulder weakens. That's what actually breaks the grip. I'm not trying to go right to his hands and separate them. I'm trying to like weaken his shoulder, okay? Here. Now, right here on the mat. Okay, that'll separate the grip. Then right away, guys, to avoid things like hitchhiker escapes, whenever you armbar somebody, go immediately to the thumb so you can control the rotation here. If you control the thumb, you control your partner's late stage escapes, okay? I'm pulling this over my inside hip, then lifting my lower back off the floor. Okay, so it's this leg and this leg, right? That's like the normal armbar positioning with my feet. If you guys are ending with this foot in different positions, it means that as you're doing the sequence, you're moving this foot here, here, which are all valid armbar positions. But in my opinion, especially if you're newer to all of these, I don't like to do them in transition because it actually makes the connection to the submission a little looser sometimes, okay? So here, you guys see I never moved my left leg. See, this was in the same spot the whole time. If it's ending up here, okay, that means you traveled it over. Same thing here. And guys, again, those are all very valid armbar positions, but if you do it in transition without control, you could lose the armbar. Make sense? Alright. So instead, I'm going to attack what he's giving me. Grab the wrist, pinch your elbow, okay? Icing up, and we're driving this way with our toes so we can get the shin behind the head. Put our knees on the floor. As soon as we get our knees to the floor, we're falling to our right hip. should be looking at the money maker here. No. Now, free arm, we're gonna hook the knee, push off the mat with your bottom foot, and shelve his body on top of you, okay? As soon as I feel that, I'm gonna collect both legs. That's ideal. See, it's like a full body shelf now. Now, before I drop Grant to the mat, I'm gonna make my cross face leg, and then I'm gonna sit up so I have a better connection with the arm bar, okay? Switch arms, grab your leg, so this elbow is not slipping out. Elbow deep to the wrist, ear to the mat, torque that shoulder, find the thumb, and finish here. Kind of goes what I was saying about this being like a half mount, right? One of the first things you learn about defense and mount as a white belt? Don't push up, right? Look at what he's doing, okay? So it's gonna give us a really good play for an arm bar here, all right? Okay. In the event that Grant does not lock his hands, which happens sometimes, not very commonly, but sometimes, we're just gonna finish a sort of a choi bar here, okay? I feel like I can't get control of Joe's legs, maybe he's throwing them out, whatever it is. Guys, you can always look to hit the rewind button here. Climb up, kick this leg through, and look to start to take his back as well. So that'll be our 2-on-1 arm drag. Okay, kind of the same principle we're following right now. Okay, usually when we hit this arm drag, we look to cut off to the side and build tight the lat grip here. Okay? Now this is basically a turtle position, right? Anytime you're in turtle and you have a hook in, you can elect to go perpendicular to your partner and hook their elbow. Now guys, look, it's the same position here. Again, not okay, so usually when we're on the feet, or when he's on the feet rather, and our guard gets open, we're no longer doing the muscle sweep, right? We're switching to K guard, we're switching to X guard. If things get really bad, we lose the underhook, we'll switch to things like De La Hiva, right? So if Nick starts to sit up, okay, and maybe I can't build height, like a lot of times here, like you can even take both hands and just push me to the mat. Right, and like none of those things are gonna work. So almost like a K guard here, I can look to underhook the leg and gable around the knee, but I can actually look to go with what he's doing here, right? Where we're just generally losing space, I can go with this and start to look to cut my legs open for K guard, okay? Now, the tricky thing is here is usually when we do K guard, we go for a backside 50-50. That's hard because his butt's on the ground. So what I've been finding here a lot is entries back to the reverse closed guard. So from here, once I switch to K guard, I'll just switch my feet, anchor in with my heels, and then pull through, okay? We can look to push off the ground with our hand or our feet, start to pull them on top. Get the actual reverse closed guard here, so we can go for that A block series, or we can roll back. Sometimes here, if we're losing this and we create an angle, I'll start to look to get a 2-on-1 on this leg. Just pull them right into saddle positions here as well. The thing that's really going to change all of this is, again, if you guys open your legs here. Okay, that's when we're going to have to think to do a lot of other stuff. What could I do here? Like, you guys might remember if we invert the hips here, we can start to look for entries to X guard. Especially in modern day here, is gable gripping around the knee, switching to some form of K guard, okay, holding this in, especially going to things like backside 50-50, okay. Or if you're a beginner and those things are kind of a little complicated, if your legs ever open up, we can always switch to a simple ankle grip. You know, push the person away, get our tripod sweeps, pretty good for like MMA. Or just generally switch to a De La Hiva guard here.